Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the round 8 trade targets as well as going through my round 7 targets and how well they did. It was actually a really good round looking back through, and in comparison to round 6 in that I was able to get girls or predict girls that scored in the end 118 more points. It was 488 this week rather than in round 7 compared to 370 last week, but we all know that 370 that was a bad call week. And if we go back quickly just here, 135, 165, 174, 184, 284, 284 plus 131 is 415, I'm pretty sure. And then the week before that, I'm just looking here, was 453. So yeah, even with the injured ruck, etc., and not the greatest scores in the midfield. I mean, we had Prisparkas and Rowbottom a couple of weeks ago, which was huge. You can just see that was our biggest score of all the seasons. I'm muddling my words up here. Of all the seasons, of all the rounds, I should say, in the season. And yeah, so that really did really help out. I mean, this round 3 actually could have run close here. 189 plus 78, that gets us to 197, plus 70 is 267, plus 93 is 360, and then bring in the forwards, that gets us to 459, and then actually the rookie, that round 3 was our best round by far, as that was 467 plus 70, 537. So we had a really good round that week just because we had really consistent scorers outside of the midfield. So that's the thing with these trade targets, is just trying to find that defender or ruck or forward that is going to go large, because that is going to make the difference in these. But if we, before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So I believe it's that one. Yes, there we go. So as you can see, round 7, we had Pound go 56, and looking at this, Pound, this is probably the worst pick of the week, to be honest. Could have had Thomas here at Thomas at 111, if I do it in a red pen. Thomas, 111, and then also Eamonson, who I was debating, I believe, in the last trade targets, went 85. So that was plus, for a realistic target, plus 29, as we knew Thomas was going to outscore everyone. And then you could have also had Sard at 85. So sort of 3 goals there that did better than Pound dramatically, but also 2 of them were actually realistic trade targets, but not the worst. So 29 points burnt to a realistic target isn't the worst. Then we go on to the midfield, and this is where I really did well in that Barutinette was probably the best pick outside of the main 3, so that was a massive tick for there. She went 124. She was the 4th highest, and it was only the big 3 that beat her. Could have gone for Breed Avey or Benucci. Don't know if I definitely mentioned them. I was certainly looking over them. Ashmore as well was a surprise at 114, just looking here. Conti at 108 did pretty well outside of the big girls, and then Hatchard as well, a big one, went 106, Rowbottom 101, and so Rowbottom wasn't actually that bad. I'd still give it a tick. So probably the only ones that you could have actually said was probably Davey over the top of her, who went 122. So that was 21 points burned. If we go there, 21 points burned for a midfielder like that, when you're splitting straws, isn't too much. Then we move on to the ruckman, and I don't see a good 63. She got injured, which sort of sucks. She was actually on that, I think, at 3/4 time, so that looked like an 80. There we. Oh wow, that was horrible horrible handwriting, but yeah, looked at an 80. That was not terrible for good. If she got the 80, that would have been her second. That would have been the 2nd or 3rd highest ruck. To be honest, I don't think Moody would have gone up and scored an 84, and I think she would have beat Hickey's 80 on the dot as well. So it was only really Wales that was better than her. If she didn't get injured, Wales 99, which in the end was plus 36. So not too bad. Then we move on to the forward line, and this is where I pretty much did what I needed to do. With the trade targets, Goldsworthy was the second highest at 100. There was only DePoy at 103, but I don't think DePoy is consistent enough, whereas I think Goldsworthy is definitely going to be consistent enough at that score. You could have also looked at Jones as well. Jones scored 98 as well at 810k. 18k now. She was before the round at, what's that, 809, 820, 829k. Sorry, 729k. That should be. There we go. So that was sort of the range that she went. So she was a decent choice for any cash gen, but Goldsworthy was still the number one choice in my opinion for the trade targets this week. In the forward line. Then we move over to the rookies, and if you really just trying to the best way to do these is so hard. So you do have Tierney here who went 54 in her first game. Didn't know that she was even going to be playing, so she went 54. If I do it over here, and then we'll say plus, what was it, 72k? Yeah, 72k. So there's that. You also had Craven, and Craven's actually been one that has sort of, I think, been getting a better role week on week. She went 54 and went up 65k as well. If I just try and cram them in here, she went 54 and then plus 65k. So you had that. Mitchell went 50, so I think we looked over her, and she went up 78k, so she was probably almost the best one to rise. And then you had Karras as well with a 37 that went up 41k. But now let's just check in with the 400s. And you had Tarrant Gooch right with a 61 as a defender, went up 104k. So that was probably your rookie of the week. Was right. She went for a 61 plus 104k. So yeah, pretty good outing from her. Outside of that, I don't see many bigger leaps than that, to be honest with you. Just looking through here, Woods went up 71k for a 48, so that's pretty good cash gen there as well. But other than that, most people didn't actually go up. And you also had Fitzgerald, who we mentioned a couple weeks ago. Fitzgerald, you're here. She actually went up again 46k for a 43, late inclusion. For that, so she did really well there. But anyway, that should pretty much conclude the active look at the round 7. So now let's actually switch across and go to the round 8. If this is how I was looking up the rookies. So if we go there and then we go defenders. So defender wise, obviously you have Thomas, who I think everyone needs to be going for. So I guess if you don't have her, then you could do that. But I think 25%, 21% owned, so you should be getting her. But I think Eamundson is the one to actually go for if you can't actually afford Thomas, as Eamundson has a really, like I think I was showing in the review yesterday, Eamundson has a really high floor, but not the best ceiling. As you can see, 87 has a top, 85, then 70, a couple of 70, 78, 70, but then a really low, she's at least getting 50s. So I think Eamundson is one that some people, oopsie, didn't mean to write it that way. I think she is the one that people should be sort of targeting as the defender. As I said with Thomas, she's really expensive, and yes, Thomas will be putting up output, but I think Eamundson is one that will just be able to stick in your side the way through, obviously, and will put up consistent scores, so you sort of know what you're going to get from her. Moving on to the midfield, and this was an actually interesting one because with Parker out for the year, I had to look at a midfielder, so I really tried to look for someone, I guess, that would actually sort of help. So obviously you have the likes of Garner, Riddell, Marinoff that I already have. You could go Bruton, but I think her run, if you look into the underlying statistics, I think her run is going to end sometime soon when she just drops to 60, because nothing extraordinary has occurred that has pushed her numbers up. Like the CBAs went up, I think 15%. That's negligible, really, in causing such a doubling in scores. You have Bree Davey and Benucci, but they have a tough-ish matchup in Geelong. Ashmore just isn't consistent enough. Conti was one that I definitely looked at. So I think this week, I think Conti is going to be one of the midfielders. I think she's going to be the lower midfielder just because she's playing Hawthorn. I think her run coming in, her last 8, 9 and 10 doesn't actually include anyone that bad. And I think she will look at her lowest score as an 80 and then an 84 and 94. So it's not terrible, but I think she's just going to hit a run here where she can go 115 plus in the last 3, to be honest. Then I want to pick sort of someone in this higher range, and obviously you could go, well, Marinoff is like 60% owned. Yeah, Riddell, I'm guessing, is 11% owned. Riddell is actually very, very unders, and the thing I like about Riddell at the moment is she's on a crazy run of 100 scores, and that only real bad score is that Geelong game. She obviously plays Melbourne. I don't think Melbourne will put someone on her necessarily, and I really like the way that she's actually getting involved tackling-wise to put up the numbers that she is. So I think Riddell might be my big fish of the week, because yes, you do have Rowbottom again playing Port Adelaide. If we look here, Port Adelaide, she should put up a big score. Whitford as well could also put up a big score, but she hasn't really done anything since that Eagles game. So I guess you could say that Whitford is going to be putting up a big score against Port. And there's no one here really. You could look at a Beeson or something like that due to Parker being down, but I doubt that that's going to have major influence on the score. I do think Goldsworthy will now go into the midfield a little bit more because of Parker being out, so that is a potential look in at the forward line. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the likes of a Riddell. I think is the best target. Yes, as a top tier one, but we'll see how that runs. Watch her, please go well, Ash. Because I need need the points. Then we move on to the ruck. And looking at last week, obviously we have Wales and Moody, Hickey, Strom. If we look at the ruck matchups, Wales obviously has the better ruck matchup, and probably should have looked at this when she was playing Richmond, who don't really have... Seymour isn't playing that well on the ruck this year, and then she has West Coast where she's going to dominate, so probably should have actually gone for Wales, and I do think Wales will probably outscore the rest of the people. Do we have any other rucks playing easier matchups? I don't really like Moffat this week against Western Bulldogs. I think that's one of the tougher ruck assignments. Anyone else here? Really no. So I think it's gotta be the Wales, even though she is she's the second most expensive, I think, ruck at the moment. Third most actually. So that's not too bad. So yeah, I think I'll go with Wales here in the ruck. That might actually, just looking at, I'll just zoom out there when I have to. And then in the forward line, you got Gardner, Too Good, round points here. DePoy did really well. Goldsworthy, as we talked about earlier. Jones, Frederick, O'Loughlin, Kelly with an 85, not bad. Hall, 83, Too Good against West Coast is probably going to be the one. Even though it is she's ultra expensive. She is 23% owned, and I'm not one of them, but you could look at that. Morrison as well, I think, is dropping in price just a little bit. I don't know what's going on since almost that suspendable hit. She hasn't really done anything, even though she didn't get suspended for that. Malloy, I don't think, has done anything worthwhile to even be in the conversation for this. So I think, obviously, you have Roberts doing well, Goldsworthy doing well. Last week, you could look at Frederick. She's doing all right, but she's almost getting way too pricey at almost $1 million. O'Loughlin, Kelly, I don't think will back it up. I do think you have to almost look at Too Good here in the forward line, even though I would say we are starting to get into that sort of upgrade and try and get to the most expensive players. But Too Good against West Coast is surely a ton waiting to happen. So I think I am going to be a little bit generous to myself and put Too Good down there, even though I shouldn't be going for that many sort of expensive players. That's the whole goal of this series, is not to go for the expensive ones. Then we look at the sort of rookies, and you obviously have Tierney, Craven. Lock with a 51 after last week 0 could be interesting about how that's going to work out. 4% for a 0, then a 20, and then a 28%, a 31. So that is actually interesting. Is there any other sort of 300k? So you have Doyle, but I don't really think Jess is going to do anything. She's not consistent enough, I should say. You can see here 27 was her highest outside of that, and only 2 goals for the year, so she's not even impacting on the scoreboard. So if I was to pick a sort of rookie, I think obviously Tierney is a good shout. We're waiting to see the actual sort of numbers for as I don't think DFS has the numbers yet for round, what was it, 7. It actually does have the numbers, it looks like. So hopefully if we can go through the numbers, we can go through, and that was Essendon, and we're talking about Tierney. So we'll see what numbers she put up. If we look here, it doesn't look like Tierney put up any midfield numbers. It was just the Prasparkas, Wales, Kane, Nanscorn. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking at necessarily Tierney. You got Craven, Locke, Mitchell, Reed. I still think Tierney, just because of that 54, is just going to be the best rookie in itself for cash gen. Even though she is slightly expensive, if she gets another 54, she's going to go up like 120 or so thousand. So I think Tierney is the best at the moment. So I'm going to put her down. And then if I had to put up a backup option, I think the backup option would be best suited in... How's Smith doing? Not really terribly well. I'm trying to find like a 300k. Oh yeah, Wedland. I think Wenland, if we look at Brisbane, is she playing watch her be playing a wing role. Wenland isn't getting any midfield time, so that kind of sucks. But we'll see what goes on in the future. But I think she might be the best 300k for out of anyone left. If I just look through, how did Barwick do as a midfielder for Gold Coast? Did she get any midfield time in the last game? Barwick didn't look like she got any midfield time, which kind of sucks. Do we have any other Finn for Carlton? Did she get any midfield time? I'm looking through and trying to see if anyone got any midfield time. But it doesn't look like anyone got any midfield time that's just coming into the sides. You can probably just do it this way and just look through. Doesn't look like anyone there. Collingwood, I think we already went through. No newbies getting any time there. Essendon, I think we already went through. Freo, anyone there getting any time that's just can't come in. So Mulder, how expensive is Mulder? Mulder as well. So Mulder probably is the pick as well, because she has the role as a sort of 4th or 5th midfielder coming in there, as you can see with that. Just looking through here, she had 33%, which doesn't look like much, but with Bowers still out, I don't know how long she's going to be out for. You've got obviously the Ruckman, then you've got Stan at 83%, Lally, Verrier, and also Mulder. So that is the 4th midfielder to come through. So that's actually not that bad of a role in itself. So I think Mulder is the best player to put through there. But anyway, that is pretty much the video, a sort of a longer one. As we went through last week and then also went through this week. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one, which will be the tips video, and then we'll have my team preview for round 8, and then hopefully on Saturday we'll get how the trade period sort of impacted the men's competition, etc. But anyway, that's the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.